All right, we got to talk about this new Ball Guy post. To be honest, I'm exhausted. I'm very cold. Just got back from a walk. Ball Guy has responded to Anonymous here. This guy said, since we're a month away from a reveal, could you drop a new hint? And Ball Guy has posted two box arts of Pokemon Blue and Pokemon Green, the Japanese versions. This is super fun. This is also super bait, but this is also super fun. This feels like a proper riddle. I have no idea what this guy's talking about. No idea. But let's talk about it. Let's try to see if we can get to the bottom of it. Right off the bat, I think if you have watched any of my content in the past, I think it's very easy to maybe assume that I'm about to go down the pipeline of speculation when it comes to Pokemon ports announced on Pokemon Day. We will talk about that a little bit. But I feel like if that was the case, this would have been right straight down the middle, right? This would have been way more obvious. And when I say obvious, I guess I'm looking at it like the fact that this is not red and blue, and also the fact that he's literally posting these two images. And by the way, I have no idea if Ball Guy actually knows anything or not. But the fact that these two images are of classic Pokemon games, it makes me actually think that this has nothing to do with Pokemon games or like classic Pokemon games. All right, let's talk about some of the, I guess, I want to go down some rabbit holes, but let's just get out of the way a couple things first. I guess you could say there's been some speculation. People are maybe thinking that the blue, like if we just look at the colors or the names of these games, blue and green, maybe these are the colors of the box arts, of the logos, of the rumored Generation 10 game Pokemon Wind and Wave. I think it's obvious, or it would feel right to say waves, right? Water would be blue, and wind would be green. That is kind of nice. I actually like the idea of like illustrating wind, right? I've been thinking of like illustrate wind by thinking about leaves or grass, right? Thinking about the earth blowing in the wind, right? So you've got the ocean and you've got the earth, you've got land. And I kind of like that, right? Or the idea that water, right, is the waves, right? The ocean is this big vast thing, and the opposite of that is the earth or is weather. It is natural. So you have these two things. I like that a lot. And that also, that's also really nice to see that in, in contrast to, I don't know, we're seeing this on the 30th year anniversary, like thinking about, 30 years of Pokemon to celebrate Red, Blue, and Yellow. Like, I guess I kind of like this, that this is also just kind of like, I don't know. This is nice. This is classic. It's very cozy. So I could see that. Someone else is talking about this being a hint at the character, or I guess the rival character. This is interesting. The rival character from Red, Blue, and Yellow, which in the original games was called Green, and then in the international releases of Pokemon, Generation 1, the rival character was named Blue. So this rival character has both names. He's got Blue and he's got Green. And so someone is, I've seen this guy in the comments. I don't know how to say your name. Delta. They're suggesting maybe this is a return of Oak. Maybe this is symbolizing, to me, I'm thinking about Gary Oak, but, Blue Oak, right? The grandson of Professor Oak. But they're saying it actually would just be Professor Oak themselves. They're saying Oak is in this, I don't know. They're saying Oak debuts in Generation 1. Oak comes back in Diamond and Pearl, which I did a little bit of research. I don't even know if that's true, to be honest with you. Samson Oak is a new character that is introduced. That is very real. He comes back on the 20th year anniversary in Sun and Moon. He is the professor that is tied to regional forms. And to be honest with you, this is something that I talked about on my podcast. And I also want to talk about Generation 10 right now, which is that there is, I guess, a leaked image depicting an old man. And I had identified that old man as someone who looks a lot like, what do you call him? Darwin, right? Darwin is the, is it Professor, Doctor? What was Charles Darwin is the guy who coined, or I guess invented or discovered, the theory of evolution. That means something different in the Pokemon world. But I think that's gonna be a major theme in Generation 10, which is cool. And what I talked about on my podcast is that during the 20th year anniversary in Sun and Moon, Samson Oak. Maybe I should pull up like a little picture for you guys. We got Professor Oak right here. Look at that. He's so handsome. Professor Oak, iconic. It's the grandfather we all want. Where is Samson Oak? It should say. Let's see. Relatives, Daisy. There it is. Samson. This guy right here, Samson Oak. This is so cool. So cool. And I guess I'll even repeat something that I mentioned on the podcast. There's a thing called the Wallace Line inside of the region of Indonesia, or I guess like it splits through the ocean and it splits through a couple different countries and islands within Southeast Asia, and that line is basically describes this idea. It's not even like an idea. It's like it's just a real. It's like a law of nature that there's so many animals that will exist in that region, and they'll live everywhere up to where that line is. But that line basically is identifying this space or this. I mean, it's an invisible line. It's not like an actual wall, but there's creatures that will live on one side of it and they never cross over. And there's other creatures that live on the other side that will never cross over. And it's kind of interesting. What I noticed is if you look at Professor Samson Oak and his outfit, this is only in the anime. He actually has a t-shirt with the popped collar, and there is this depiction of a line, which is probably like a river or something, but it's this depiction of a line, and there's creatures on either side of it, both looking at each other, kind of suggesting that like they can't get to one another. But okay, let's bring it back to this bald guy rumor. What is the idea? The idea, I think, is that Samson Oak or Professor Oak, or this would be the best thing, Blue Oak, or Gary, essentially, if you know him from the anime, whatever you want to call him. He has both names. Gary Oak, the character Gary Oak, in depending on your language or where you grew up, he's either Gary, he's blue, or he's green. That character, this is my prediction, he's going to come back. Honestly, I've sold myself on it. He's gonna be in Generation 10. He's gonna be in Wind and Wave. He's going to be studying alongside the Charles Darwin type professor. Gary Oak is going to be 40 years old at this point, right? If he's 10 years old, or maybe 11, if he's 10 years old in Red, Blue, and Yellow, 30 years later, he's a 40-year-old man. That's what I think we're going to see. I think Gary Oak is going to be an active professor in this region, which is really cool because he can also then talk about what his uncle talks about, which is regional forms, and he can also be a representative, right? This is the part of Pokemon that I love so much, these games. Like, I love imagining when I'm playing one game, when I'm playing Sword and Shield, the events in Hoenn are happening. The events in Kanto are happening. Johto, they're happening in real time. When you're playing ZA, I mean, honestly, ZA is a great example. There are so many references to other regions. And I think that would be a lot of fun if Blue Oak, I'm going to call him Blue, if he is moseying about the region, I mean, he's literally that's another thing. Blue Oak represents the next generation of Pokemon professors, right? Professor Oak, 30 years later, no longer exists. Blue Oak, he's doing his thing. And we've seen him in other regions before. I believe he is in, and maybe this is what Delta was talking about, I believe he is in Platinum, maybe. And he shows up in one of the games and he's talking about, he's speaking with a French accent. And then I feel like there's almost another, whatever. This is a whole other conversation. Honestly, I've kind of sold myself on this. So those are the two things. Professor Oak or Blue, some sort of Oak character is going to come back in Generation 10. That's going to get announced on Pokemon Day, right? Because that's what we're talking about. It could be blue and green are simply representative of the colors, the thematic colors, and by extension, the legendary Pokemon that'll be on the box arts of these Pokemon games. Actually, sidebar, another super fun idea. Like, my big little fun Gen 10 idea, like what I would love to see, is the box art Pokemon to be starter Pokemon. I think that would be super cool. So maybe that's a hint at this. Like, that's something I've been saying, and that could be a hint at this. Because Generation 1, you have Blastoise and Venusaur on the cover. You don't have legendary Pokemon. So that would be super fun. So that's 3 ideas right there. But the main let's revisit the idea about a video game, right? Let's talk about ports. Again, I don't really think this is a tease at ports. Okay, no. I guess I don't really believe it. Like, I at this point, I've been burned so many times. But I read this a couple different ways. My first train of thought was, okay, maybe this is... I guess I'm trying to look at this. Okay, blue and green. Maybe there's going to be 2 different editions of a port collection that you can obtain. And within them, you can get a bunch of one of the versions of each game. So in blue version, you get blue version. You get silver version. Maybe you get, I would say, I guess you could get crystal. I actually never thought about that, but I guess they could like double up, put crystal version on one, and then like emerald in the next. This would work out really well actually, and then put emerald, the other third version, on the other game. Okay, so blue version could have blue version, silver. It could have crystal. It could have sapphire. That fits very nicely, right, on the left-hand side. And you know what? It could even have... I don't know. That sounds good. Let's stay with that. That's 4 games. Green version... and again, these are port collections. That's kind of what I'm imagining here. The ports collection could have... I guess it could... Well, green version internationally was turned into red version. I'm sorry. No, I got that backwards. The original games were Pokemon Red and Green in Japanese. Blue was the international game. So how would they do that? Blue is international. Yeah, I guess I don't really know how they would do that. No, you know what it would be? So blue is exactly what I said. Green version would have red version. So that works. Green version would have red version. Right here, red version. It would have Ho-Oh. Maybe it has Pikachu. It's got Ruby version. So you got all the fire types, all the ground types, the lava Pokemon. And then it's got, well, the green version. What would it have? I guess the green version would then have Leaf Green. And then in the blue version, you would still get Fire Red. And maybe what they're doing there is like you get Charizard no matter what game you get. Because I'm thinking this goes up to Generation 3. And then Emerald also goes to the green version. I don't know how much. I don't know if that's actually even, but there's a way to split those up that actually fits pretty good. And I guess what I'm thinking about is like if you put Charizard on the box cover, then the other one looks kind of dumb in comparison. Alternatively, Ball Guy might not know what he's talking about. Because ideally, actually, what the Pokemon Company might want to do is give us red version and yellow version. Because then you got Pikachu and Charizard on the box. Anyways, that was kind of my first thought. I'm like, okay, maybe these are symbolic of that, and they can kind of split it up. I also kind of like the idea, and I'm just thinking out loud now, right? Like the original games, red and green, and then the game that I had, blue version, here in the States. My buddies also got, they also got red version. I do think it's kind of cool that like the remakes were Fire Red and Leaf Green to pay homage to like the truly original games in Japan. But I really do like the idea of like almost like getting another like, oh my god, like another Kanto sequel, remake, right? To base it, I don't even know. Oh, no, I do know. BDSP. What if Ilka's working on a Faithful remake? Guys, come on. This is I just had this idea. In the Faithful remake is a Kanto game, not Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. But it is essentially blue and green. And it's a top-down game. Oh, would I like that? I don't think so. But they would maybe they would add something like the underground. I don't know, dude. Would they add the Sevi Islands? Would that be good? That's the question. Would you like that? People hated Let's Go because it was too experimental, but if they put a Kanto game on the Switch 2 and it's polished and dude, they just gave BDSP an update. They literally just updated BDSP. Like BDSP just got a software like update. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole right now. Like I just don't know what to think about this. I do want to give props to Bald Guy. I have no idea if he has any information, but I really do actually appreciate how confusing this is and how this really could be something minuscule, like not minuscule, but you know, Gary O comes back in the video games. That'd be kind of fun. I do like that. I like Gary. Good persona. I like him. But this could also have larger implications, which is honestly a lot of fun. You know, like Generation 10 or... God, that's crazy! Could we be seeing... People don't like Let's Go because it doesn't give us any additional content. And BDSP are like bad remakes. But they're like... They are a remaster of Diamond and Pearl. Would people be happy with a remaster of Fire Red and Leaf Green that added the fairy type, maybe gave us some access to some of the regional forms and other evolutions like Annihilate, you know? But I got to make a whole new video about this. This is crazy. We're going too long. I got to make a new video. The Sevi Islands would be in it. What do you think this rumor is? Let me know what you think this rumor is, and subscribe if you're new. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you soon.